Well, I've come up to Heron and Brearley to talk with Peter Whittaker, who's the man you've been hearing a lot about on the radio, in the papers, whatever. It's your side. It's actually Man and Retail, but it's all part of Heron and Brearley, is it not?
Yes, it is. Man and Retail is a company that's been in operation in various company names over the last 30 years on the island. Man and Retail, as it is now, was acquired by Heron and Brearley in 2007, and as such we operate the 15 Spar stores across the Isle of Man that we have, and obviously within that we have post office operations, sub-offices operating in the current locations we have.
Okay, so here comes the background I need to find out. Literally overnight, everyone finds out that you, in Douglas and Ramsey, are going to be taking over the post offices. Yet clearly this has been going on behind the scenes for some time, and we've even got these videos which you put online, a walkthrough of both stores, and we can come back to that in a minute or two. But I want some background if you can. I mean, did they approach you? Did you approach them? How did it all come about?
No, I was approached by Isle of Man Post, who I understand approached a number of other companies on the Isle of Man. The exact figures have not been given. But they approached a number of other companies, potential ones that could provide a service of sub-post offices if the two Crown offices were to shut. I confirmed my interest. I was sent a tender document which I duly completed and submitted to Isle of Man Post, and that's where we are today.
Can you give me a time frame on this? How long has this been going on?
I'd say probably 4 or 5 months.
And it's never actually got out, has it, at all? So
it hasn't got out. You know, at the end of the day, it's a very confidential process, and everything had to be kept quiet, and I dealt with everything in the manner I'd expect to do. We filled our documents in, we did our presentation, and as I say, the post office awarded Man and Retail as such the two Crown offices to run as sub-offices in those locations.
Well, I mean, obviously the main people have been wondering how on earth you can get all that into the Spar store. I'm talking about Douglas particularly. Yeah. I know you've got more space than Ramsey apparently. But let's do the run through here, the graphic you've got. And clearly it's really not a Spar anymore, is it? I mean, it's actually a post office with a few suites at the front end.
Exactly. The difference with what we're offering in these two Crown offices is we have sub-post offices around the Isle of Man. We have 5 currently running, and they to me are true sub-post offices. They're 2-3 counter positions, 1 position counter in our convenience stores that operate around the island. And in fact there's a lot of sub-post offices that run across the Isle of Man quite happily. This is slightly different because we have a Crown office that we're operating. There's 2 of them. And they are key to the people of the Isle of Man and key to the individuals and people that use them in the locations they operate.
So why not just hold your hands up and say this is not going to be a Spar, this is actually the post office privatised?
No, I don't think it is the post office privatised. The post office has decided that these 2 units are losing money. They're losing vast sums of money as a counter operation. Post office have decided that they're no longer viable in the current format. And they've put the offer out there, they've put a tender together, and they're moving those particular counter operations. I don't think it's the post office being privatised at all. I think far from it. They're identifying what within their business is no longer viable, and they're moving that out. What we've got to remember here that the Manx public are still going to have post offices, and the 2 that we've put together in conjunction with Isle of Man Post, there will still be all the facilities that are available currently in the 2 locations in Douglas and Ramsey.
So you are going to make money out of this. You're doing this as a commercial undertaking. How are you going to make money out of it when they couldn't? Is it purely because you're going to pay people a lot less money?
No, I think our cost base will be lower. You know, we have offered and we have said from the outset that we would look to employ the people that are currently employed in the 2 post offices. Exact terms and conditions I don't want to go into. I think that's private to the individuals.
Well, it's going to be a lot less than what they get now, presumably, and no big, massive pension at the end of the day. You've alluded to that. Living in the real world, I think you've been saying.
It is. We have to live in the real world nowadays. You know, if I look in the UK and in fact the US, the whole operations now are moving out of what were Crown offices and standalone post offices. They need something running alongside them, be it a convenience store or some other kind of offer that make them a viable proposition for the operator. The post office can't make it pay with the way they're running it. They've made a commercial decision, and that commercial decision is to move the business on, and Man and Retail have been a successful applicant.
So people who have had these great working conditions will have to sacrifice that to come and work for you? There won't be any special thing for people working in the post office part of the shop? They'll just be workers?
No, they will be working for Man in Retail, but they'll be solely responsible for the office operation. It may be that they want to come out and do other things within the store. I just don't know, but the post office operation will be segregated within those two stores. I don't expect the post office counter staff to jump on a till. They might like to, I don't know, that's up to them. But at the end of the day, the post office will be a separate operation within these stores to the main store operation, the retail offer that's currently there.
Okay, well, as you can see again from this graphic, it's really, in Douglas, just a post office with... you've lost most of your, what is the Spar store, hasn't it? It's all gone.
We've lost about, I'd say 40%, 50% of the Spar store. There's some of those areas that we don't maximise at the moment, so we're making better use of the space that we have. There will still be a reasonable offer, certainly in the Douglas one, and in the Ramsey one will be a continuance of what's there.
People might say this has been quite fortuitous, because there's all this talk of another major retailer in food opening in the street at some point. I know they haven't actually signed contracts, so I don't want to mention the name necessarily, but you're probably quite happy to get out of being a Spar store, aren't you?
I don't know. We will still be a Spar store. There will be the Spar name there, so we will give the usual impulse products. There will be a grocery range similar to what we're doing now. We do believe areas are overfooted within the store. We formatted that store probably 4 or 5 years ago and have not revisited it. So we will reformat that store and bring it in line with where the sales are in the current marketplace.
Now, Ramsey's different in the sense you've got more space to play with, I understand.
Yes, we have, yeah. Ramsey has about 1,000 square foot at the rear of the store that we don't currently use. It has been used previously. It was used for selling white goods and washing machines some years ago, and it's predominantly always been retail use. But when I redid the store some years ago and reformatted the store, we certainly moved the wall back a little bit and put a barrier up. So there's 1,000 square foot there, and we can accommodate the post office in that location more than happily. And again, the customer won't see a big difference.
There's been a massive outcry. Well, I say 100 people have made their feelings known by turning up last night to the commissioners' meeting, and they don't like this at all. Although it has actually moved already once, the post office, hasn't it? So, but why do you think they're not happy with this idea?
I think it's a question of communication. You know, it is shock and awe at the end of the day. Everything was quite happy on Monday morning, and when they woke up on Tuesday, obviously the media had gone out and portrayed the message. I don't think they heard Man in Retail's side of it, and I'm here, you know, to give the confidence that we will provide a service that is fast, efficient, and can meet the needs of the various locations we operate in.
But people are going to have to navigate through all the other parts of the store to get to the post office.
The post offices will be at the rear of the premises. We will reconfigure the two stores so as it gives as much space possible for the customer of the post office to get through. The biggest thing is that we can offer the number of till points, the speed of service, and the confidentiality when they're carrying out the transaction. It's not been, as some have alluded to and said, that, you know, the post office is going to be alongside the till, or the till operators are going to be the post office. This is totally separate, and paramount to me in my business is to ensure that we give the best possible service to the customer that uses the post office in the Isle of Man. That is paramount, and I do not believe they're losing any service at all. It is purely moving from one location to another. And
what happens if it doesn't work out for you?
I believe it will work out for me. I'm confident we will deliver what we're expected to deliver.
And can you tell us how long the contract's for, or is it ongoing?
The contract is confidential. It's ongoing. We have a lot of KPIs that we have to meet to satisfy that contract. We will be monitored by the post office. We will be tested on waiting times, and to give you an idea, my current offices get audited and they're watched. Those offices I currently operate are second to none and have run well for many, many years. This one will come under public scrutiny, not only by the post office but also by the users. And I don't expect to get everything right on day one. There will be issues, but I think once it settles down and we have it operating, it will become the norm and people will accept it.
Do you therefore admit this thing could be handled better as far as the way the news was released?
In hindsight, yes it is, but you've got to understand, you know, there was implications to the current operators, the current employees of the post office. Yes, it could have been handled differently. Hindsight is a wonderful thing in everything that we do. You know, things maybe handled differently, and we could have in fact, you know, spoken to the employees, but we had to take the steer from Isle of Man Post, and it was all confidential, and obviously Isle of Man Post had a deadline and a timeline on things that they had to do.
When is this all actually going to come into place?
We will start work. We're already working with Isle of Man Post Office. Planning is going on. We hope to start work on the premises just after Christmas, and we hope to be operating the 2 offices just after Easter.
And will people know it's the post office from the outside, or not just a Spar store, for instance?
No, it's the units will be branded up strong enough that it identifies as a post office, and you know, there will be signage externally, internally. It will just look like the post office once they arrive in it. There will be outside signage. The post office are looking after that, and we will offer all the services that they currently operate. And
what would you say to the current staff now then?
The current staff, I haven't met the staff yet. I'm due to meet them in the next few days. I want them to come on board. You know, it is a big culture change for the staff, and that is one thing that I alluded to in my tender. The current employees are working for what could be deemed, and I know it's not, the government, but they are working for the post office, and when they signed up to that, it was, you know, a level of security, we're here for life, but things change, things move on, and the market has changed considerably, not only in post offices but with every business. You know, we're seeing banks close and what have you on the high street. Every business is changing because society has changed and people's needs have changed. So those current staff, I want to bring as many of those staff across to my business. I need responsible, professional, experienced personnel in those units, and I hope once we've talked to them and we've sat down with them, they don't think it's as bad as they first thought. They're not out of jobs, they have an opportunity. Obviously what goes on between Isle of Man Post and their employees is up to those sectors. When they come to me, you know, we want them to get on and enjoy the job.
I'll put it to you though, you kind of said it there, that maybe there's a slight different culture in government being a secure job for life and living in, again, what you said, the real world in one of your interviews. Will you therefore, you've taken them all on initially, but will you be looking for natural wastage, people who do drop out? Can you run it on less people? Are you needing to run it on less people?
No, the one thing I've said from the outset, I'm looking to run it on similar levels of people, if not more hours. What I want to do is open the hours longer, open the offices longer. We're currently open, they open at 9 in the morning, I want to open them at 8:45. I want to close them at 5:45 of an evening, just to allow those people that work in the town the opportunity to call in if they request.
But the Spar store's open longer than that, isn't it? 6 in the morning or something, isn't it?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
So eventually would you...
They're open 7 in the morning.
Okay, so eventually you want parity, I'd have thought?
I don't think so. It's whether the need is there from the customer that's using the post office. It could be, under the terms of the contract, I quoted quarter of an hour each side. It could be I open at 8 o'clock. It just depends on the needs of the consumer of the Isle of Man. What we are looking to do, and I'm not saying we'll certainly do this, but we are looking to possibly open on a Saturday afternoon, because I think both town centres are very busy, and the consumer again should have the opportunity to use the postal services in those big towns. I'm not saying the sub offices need to be open, but the other sub offices, but certainly these two, I think it would be a major move and a major step forward if we can get those units open on a Saturday afternoon.
Because especially Douglas, you'll be opening a store with very little product in it if the post office is not running. You can't be happy with that then. You'll want to get the most out of this. You'll want to get, eventually, won't you? You'll want to have those post office tills ringing as long as the Spar stores are ringing, surely.
We do. You know, the whole idea, it's a commercial activity. Everybody's in business to make a turn on it, and you know, we all understand that. The more transactions I can get through, the more people using them. That's great for the post office, but it's also great for me as well. Longer hours, does that mean that they're getting more money, or will they just be on less money but doing more hours? They'll be on, you know, I haven't seen the hours they all do at this moment in time. You know, we class full-time hours as 39 to 40 hours, I think it is. There will be part-time and full-time positions available. You know, I'm looking to bring in as many as I can. If I need to recruit more, I will do. But the one thing I have to give the Manx public is service, and that's what's paramount to my side. So the person that's serving sweets at the front, will they be on the same money as the person that's doing post? No, they won't. The post office is a totally separate operation to the shop operation, as it is in all my other stores on the island, and in fact other businesses that run post offices.